What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Nick Moseder here, and as promised, we're going to follow up on the Prop 50 debacle in California. We've made several videos talking about Harmeet Dillon's Civil Rights Division and the election monitors that they sent out there heading into the election that were supposedly tracking evidence of fraud and improprieties. And now, after the election, there is two separate legal efforts to challenge the congressional district map that's being put forth by the Democrats out there in an attempt to add 5 new House seats before the midterm election cycle. So we're going to cover both of these legal fronts in a moment, but first, be sure to click like on this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want to save a ton of money, go to MyPillow.com, enter promo code Nick at checkout, and you will not only save money, but support the show at the same time. Now, first and foremost, it was announced yesterday that Trump's DOJ, Pam Bondi, is going to be joining a lawsuit to sue California over this new map that they're trying to put forward, which they say is essentially racist, using a tactic from the Democrats as it benefits one particular group over another, which would be a violation of the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause and the Voting Rights Act by factoring in racial demographics when drawing new districts. Now, this is a tactic we've really only seen from Democrats, as they always say when Republicans try to gerrymander, that it's racist. But now Democrats are trying to do it in California, and they're trying to add seats by drawing lines around certain voting blocks that they know are going to vote Democrat based on the racial demographics of those areas. So Pam Bondi, Trump's DOJ, is arguing that race cannot be used as a proxy to advance political interests, but that is precisely what the California General Assembly did with Proposition 50. And so that legal challenge deals specifically with the map itself. However, it doesn't deal with any of the fraud or misproprieties that occurred in the Prop 50 election. And that's what brings me to the next legal front. So I found this earlier today, and this is a memo that's been written by somebody named Shiloh Marks to the U.S. Attorney General claiming that LA County's election officials improperly processed mail-in ballots for voters that were canceled in California since 2016. And he has evidence of people that were registered as active voters in Maryland casting ballots in California's Prop 50 election. And this memo argues that this evidence shows systemic voter roll mismanagement or misreporting and is asking the DOJ to open a federal criminal investigation for potential violations of election law. Now, admittedly, this is just a memo from a private citizen asking the DOJ to investigate and claiming to have evidence of fraud. However, this kind of ties in with something that's already ongoing, as Harmeet Dillon back in September sued 6 states, including California, for failing to provide their voter registration rolls. So this is an ongoing legal effort, and all of these things are happening at once. We have the DOJ suing over the map itself. We have the DOJ suing over the fact that they haven't provided their voter rolls. We have evidence of improprieties and fraud that are in the possession of the DOJ. And so California, Gavin Newsom in particular, may be in some hot water here. It all just depends on how these things play out in the federal court system. And even more importantly is what happens with this case that's going before the Supreme Court, Louisiana versus Callis, because right now there's a case in the Supreme Court docket that they're reviewing, which has to do with the 14th Amendment and racial gerrymandering around congressional district maps. And if the Supreme Court decides that the 14th Amendment has been violated in Louisiana, it's going to set a precedent, and it's going to definitely have a major impact on the DOJ's efforts to stop California over Prop 50. So there's a lot to pay attention to here, and as promised, we're going to stay on top of this every step of the way. So if you're not subscribed to this channel, be sure to do so. That way you never miss another update. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.